So glad you all are here. And tonight we're going to be studying Parable 24 of the net and the fish. And I hope you will find this interesting and rewarding. So it comes from Matthew 13. Boy, it's so nice. It turns the page right away.
Thursday night class.
Yeah, Thursday night, North Richmond class. Yep. So it comes from Matthew 13, and I'm going to go ahead and start in the room with you, Tim. Just, yeah.
Okay, Matthew 13, the parable of the net. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a large net thrown into the sea. It collected every kind of fish, and when it was full, they dragged it ashore, sat down, and gathered the good fish into containers, but threw out the worthless ones. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will go out, separate the evil people from the righteous, and throw them into the blazing furnace. In that place, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
So I love this AI image I create. I said I need two images. I need images of fishermen taking fish and throwing the good ones on the fire, and angels in the cemetery taking those who are newly resurrected and getting rid of the bad ones and throwing them in the fire, and the rest going off to something else. Of course, when I said angels, what it did to the picture. It put wings on everybody. So I had to extract the wings. It took me hours. Anyway, but the thing here to notice is that this has great similarity to the wheats and the tares. What's the first instruction that the master told the servants when they separated the wheat from the tares? Anyone?
Have them be
Well,
burned.
they burn don't they burn the wheat and then after the tares to get rid of the bad first and then go after the good?
You're right. So they first gather the tares, not the
Oh,
wheat,
I'm sorry.
the tares, and they burn them up, and then they take all the wheat into the barn. So you're right, Neil. That's absolutely what happens. Same thing in this story. The one who is removed and taken away are the bad fish, as the tares were taken away first and the other one. So what that tells us in when we reflect on the other one that says in the end times, two will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. Two will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. Two will be in a bed and one will be taken and the other left. What do you think that means now, in hindsight, having looked at several of the parables and the order of the process?
I've always taken that to mean those in a covenant relationship and those outside of covenant relationship. That everyone will be brought to judgment or will be judged, and then, but only those in covenant relationship. So that's what I've always taken that to.
Yeah, what's interesting is when we go back to every previous incident, like Noah and his family, they're the ones who remain on the earth. Everyone else is swept away. With Lot and his family, he and part of his family anyway, were kept and remained, and everybody else was removed. Um, so it has always been God's first order of business to remove the wicked from the earth. And the strongest analogy to me is still Noah's time, because the whole earth was inhabited at that time and it was a huge population, and he plucked out of it only those who he wanted to save, and he destroyed the rest. So, because the ultimate thing is the righteous will inherit the earth and everybody else will not. I also want you to know verse 48. What do you take away from that? It collected every kind of fish, and when it was full, they dragged it ashore, sat down, and gathered the good fish in containers, but threw the worthless ones out. And so it will be at the end of the age. The angels will go out, separate the evil people from the righteous, throw them into the blazing furnace. In that place, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So it tells you they've gathered every kind of fish that's out there. It's like kind of a global idea. When you throw out a net into the sea, you're not just going to catch salmon or rockfish or um, sharks. You're going to catch every kind of thing, right? Um, especially if you're using like a trawler. Um, anyway,
So when it says the one's taken and the other left, the one left is the righteous.
I'm just saying that only the righteous will remain on the earth, that they're the only ones that are going to be taken. But in the two parables, the wicked are taken away immediately. The tares and the bad fish are removed right away. So it's just something to think about. I'm not being dogmatic.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's
that's recently a new concept to me that the one I always thought the one taken
Oh,
the
yeah,
bed was the one
要不要？
that was saved,
yeah.
but it's really the other way around.
Well, I've always thought the first way too, just like you two did. But it isn't since I
Yeah.
started looking at the parables, the order seems to be off.
Somebody's trying to say something.
Go ahead. Did you have something to say, Nancy? Can you tell who's on it, Sarah?
I mean, I can see who's logged in, but I can't see who's.
Did someone have a comment?
That was Lisa Jin.
Oh, hi,
It'll light
Lisa.
up green around
Hi. Wow.
the picture if they're speaking.
All right. So, Stuart, can you read this one for us? So,
Sure.
the reason why I'm looking back at this is because this is not the first time the analogy of men being fish has been introduced in Scripture. Solomon wrote about it in Ecclesiastes, very much the same way as this parable's being told to us. And the prophet Habakkuk uses the same analogy of fish being like men when he describes what the Chaldeans are going to draw up in their net. So I just think it's kind of cool. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes 9:12. For man certainly does not know his time, like fish caught in a cruel net or like birds caught in a trap. So people were trapped in an evil time as it is suddenly falls upon them. And then in Habakkuk 1:14, you have made mankind like the fish of the sea, like marine creatures that have no ruler. The Chaldeans pull them up all with a hook, catch them in their dragnet, gather them in their fishing net. That is why they are glad and rejoice. That is why they sacrifice to their dragnet and burn incense to their fishing net. For by these things their portion is rich and their food plentiful. They will therefore empty their net and continually slaughter nations without mercy.
Yeah, so Habakkuk's asking this at the end, whether are they going to continually do this? But he is comparing it like all of mankind being the fish of the sea and that are being caught up in a net and hauled away. So in the parable that we've seen in Matthew, it's just so fascinating that Christ is picking up on the same metaphor that has been used many times before in Ecclesiastes and Habakkuk. It also makes sense because what did Christ tell all the disciples at the beginning of his ministry?
I will make you fishers.
Exactly. He's like, right now you catch fish, soon you're going to catch men. So that analogy goes all the way to John 21. And in John 21, this is Christ's third appearing to all the disciples. The third time he's gotten together with them all. This time he finds them not preaching, but fishing on the same Sea of Tiberias. So, Sarah, do you mind reading this one?
Yep. Jesus' third appearance to the disciples. After this, Jesus revealed himself again to his disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. He revealed himself in this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, called Twin, Nathanael from Cana of Galilee, Zebedee's sons, and two others of his disciples were together. I'm going fishing, Simon Peter said to them. We're coming with you, they told him. They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. When daybreak came, Jesus stood on the shore. However, the disciples did not know it was Jesus. Men, Jesus called to them, you don't have any fish, do you? No, they answered. Cast the net on the right side of the boat, he told them, and you'll find some. So they did, and they were unable to haul it in because of the large number of fish. Therefore the disciple, the one Jesus loved, said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he tied his outer garment around him, for he was stripped, and plunged into the sea. But since they were not far from land, about 100 yards away, the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish. When they got out on the land, they saw a charcoal fire there, with fish lying on it and bread. "Bring some of the fish you just caught," Jesus told them. So Simon Peter got up and hauled the net ashore, full of large fish, 153 of them. Even though there were so many, the nets were not torn. "Come and have breakfast," Jesus told them. None of the disciples dared ask him, "Who are you?" because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came, took the bread, and gave it to them. He did the same with the fish. This was the third time Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead.
Thank you, Sarah. If you all if y'all could do me a favor, if you're not speaking, if you can be muted.
Even though I'm still hearing it. I don't know what it's doing.
Okay, I'll tell her. Let me call her.
I think the meeting host can mute all.
Yeah, I'm calling her right now.
No, the meeting host can't tonight. It has to be voluntary.
Oops. Hey, Jake, can you all mute when you're not speaking because we're picking up all the background noise? Okay, thank you. Just mute your computer or whatever you're using. All right, thank you. All right, bye. All right. So in this one, it's quite.
Mm-hmm.
That's Linda. Linda, can you mute?
Oh, I thought it was.
There we go.
Okay, thank you. So what's amazing about John 21 is this like bookends. You know, he told them at the beginning, "I'm going to make you fishers of men." And here he is on his third visit with them doing this giant catch, and they catch 153 fish and bring it in. And it's so much like the parable, it's spooky. He's like, haul it ashore. And it's kind of implied maybe that they would be separating the fish on the shore like everybody does every time they go fishing. Um, so it was just kind of interesting to me how this goes about. So I'm going to count on you, Sarah, to tell us who should read.
Yeah, David, Uncle David, and Nancy.
Hey, David and Nancy, would you mind reading this slide?
Okay.
Thank you.
An allegorical event of a kingdom catch. Christ's third post-resurrection appearance at the Sea of Tiberias in John 21 serves as a strategic bookend to his ministry, transforming the earlier parable of the net in Matthew 13 from a prophetic warning into a visible resurrected reality. I think you quoted that before, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just supposed to go down into the section down here. Okay, first is feature, the fisherman, and then Matthew 13 parable, angels who separate the haul, and then in John 21, the disciples acting out the analogy. The net, catching every kind of fish, filled to capacity with every kind of 153 fish from the sea.
And I should explain that at that time, I think that they thought there was only 153 kinds of fish, and that's why it explains it. But we're going to look at a bunch of different answers for 153. Go ahead with outcome.
Okay. The outcome, sorting on the shore, judgment, fellowship on the shore, implied separation, the whole catch, nothing is missing from the catch, full to capacity, yet not torn, all gathered that could be into one catch in one net. Bookend, parable told, parable revealed.
Yeah, so I just love this because John 21 is a living illustration of this parable for the disciples to know now that I'm resurrected, you are my touchstone. You are going to be my agents globally to teach and to preach my gospel to the world. So they were told at the beginning of it, make you fishers of men. What does he catch them do the third time he's visited them after his resurrection is fishing? But he's like, oh no, you're not going to be fishing anymore. You're going to be spreading my word and catching the whole world, not just Jews, but Gentiles as well. So I think it's kind of a powerful. Um, so David, if you want to read this one because you didn't get a chance to read on the last slide.
While the Matthew 13 net represents the wide, indiscriminate reach of the gospel in the world, the John 21 catch illustrates the untorn unity of the church in the resurrection. The fact that the net remains intact signifies that Christ's power preserves those he has gathered, ensuring not a single large fish is lost in the final haul to the eternal shore.
Yeah, so Christ said that while he was alive. No one can take anybody out of my hands. Um, and nobody's going to be able to defeat, what I'm intending to do. So thank you for reading that, David. Who's our next reader? Joanne, if you could read this slide. This deals with the significance of 153 fish. So it's a little complicated. If you don't feel like reading the whole thing, I understand. But the specificity of 153 is kind of a mathematical symbol for the fullness of the kingdom. So I've got three different things for you to consider: the fullness of all nations, the math of resurrectional glory, and Ezekiel's vision fulfilled. So I hope that you get something out of this, but I'll let Joanne take it from here. Joanne,
No, unmute.
you have to unmute.
Okay, there it is. The fullness of all nations. Ancient Greek zoologists, such as those cited by Jerome, believed there were exactly 153 species of fish in the world. By recording this exact number, John signals that the resurrected Christ has successfully gathered every tribe, tongue, and nation into his one unbroken net.
So that's one philosophy, is that at the time they had only documented 153 fish. And that was given us by, a very early writer, Jerome. So that's one philosophy for you to think about. And here's the next one: the math of resurrectional glory.
The math of resurrection glory. Mathematically, 153 is the 17th triangular number. 17 is often viewed as the combination of 10, the law, and 7, spiritual perfection, the spirit. The resurrection represents the victory where the requirements of the law are perfectly fulfilled by the spirit. Ezekiel's vision fulfilled. Scholars like Richard Backham connect 153 to Ezekiel 47, where the river flows from the temple to bring the Dead Sea to life. In Hebrew, Gematria, the Atlas Institute, in Gedi, where fishermen stand, has a value of 17. In Eglium, the other bounty has a value of 153. This suggests that the 153 fish are the living fruit of the Spirit water now flowing through the resurrected Christ to the ends of the earth. The final
Yeah.
analysis is the 153 fish represent totally and securely of all the believers gathered into the kingdom through the power of the resurrection.
Yeah, so it's the totality and the security of the believers that none of them broke the net, they didn't escape, they didn't get out. So you can basically, from all three of these accounts, think of 153 as a totality. These are their ideas, not mine, and I just tried to provide you three different explanations. One is the belief that it represents all nations, all tribes, and all tongues because there's only 153 kinds of fish. The second one is that 153 is the 17th triangular number. And the third vision is it corresponds to Ezekiel 47, referring to the future kingdom age and the amount of fish that's going to flow, from the temple down through the Jordan to the Dead Sea. So that's everything I got on that one. Does anybody have any other philosophies on 153?
I knew the number 17 was in the mix.
Yep.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. So
It's-
I wasn't going to do a deep dive on this, but I don't know a whole lot about triangular numbers. I meant to put another slide in here about that because I really don't know a lot about it. But
I'm
anyway,
pretty sure Brother Steve King gave an entire talk
triangular number.
on the number 153. I don't have my physical Bible with me. I'm pet sitting, I'm dog sitting. So I'm digital. But in my physical Bible, I think I have more notes on John 21 than any notes in my Bible.
Oh, it's okay.
About
Yeah,
the
thank you,
150.
man.
I don't have it with me, but I'll look it up and send it to you.
So
And
I'm going to read right. I'm going to read right now what I got. So it says
yeah,
the triangular number is the count of objects that conform an equilateral triangle. Mathematically, the sum of all the natural numbers from 1 up to a specific number like n. For example, the fourth triangular number is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. Okay? So it's saying that the 17th triangular number is 153. To find any triangular number t with a lowercase n without adding every individual integer, you can use the standard formula, which is t with a lower n beside it equals n with parentheses n plus 1 parentheses over 2. So if you have that formula, you can figure out this triangularity. And there's a substitute value. So
you can picture that as like, let's say you did the 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. You got 4 on the bottom. You can picture like 4 dots or 4 circles or something. So you got 4 on the bottom, then you got 3, then you got 2, then you got 1. Kind of like when people take their picture and they have 4 people, and then 3 people, and then 2 people, and then 1 on top. So you
yep,
can picture the dots. So that's the fourth. So the 17th, I guess, would be 17 on the bottom, and then 16, 15, all the way to 1.
exactly. So there's 17 per side of the three-sided triangle. So anyway, that's where this comes from. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I would just summarize it and say 153 represents the totality of people on the earth. So next we're going to be talking about the life exampling following a parable. And it serves as an illustration in Matthew 13, but it's kind of revealed in Matthew 21. And then we are going to look at a backstory. But go ahead, Sarah. Who's our next reader?
Linda.
Linda, could you read?
Okay. The parable and the illustration. The restoration of Peter in John 21 serves as a microcosm of the sorting process described in Matthew 13. In the parable, the net is pulled to the shore and the catch is sorted. The good are gathered into vessels while the bad are thrown away. Peter's threefold denial during the passion essentially sorted him into the category of the bad or the unfaithful. The strategic sifting. On the shore of Tiberias, Christ performs a resurrection sorting that focuses on the heart rather than just the action. The fire of judgment versus grace. In Matthew 13, the bad fish face a furnace. In John 21, Peter meets a charcoal fire, the same setting where he denied Christ. Christ uses this fire not to consume him, but to refine him. The threefold question. Christ asked, "Do you love me?" 3 times to mirror Peter's 3 denials. This sifts out the old Peter, the one who relied on his own strength to make room for the new Peter, the one who relies on Christ. Reclassification. By the end of the exchange, Peter is no longer sorted out. He is commissioned as a shepherd. Christ demonstrates that in the kingdom, the good are those who are restored by grace, not those who were never flawed. Key insight. In the Matthew 13 parable, the sorting is done by angels and is final. In John 21, Christ himself does the sorting before the final end. He shows that through the resurrection, even a bad fish, a denier, can be transformed into a good shepherd before the net is finally closed.
Thank you, Linda. And by the way, please tell Walter we hope he's feeling better
Thank
and
you.
that it isn't serious. I'll ask Tim to pray for him at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hope it's not too bad. So
he's coming in and out listening a little bit, but
okay. Well, we'll be praying for him and give him our best. All right.
thank you.
You're welcome. Sarah, who's next?
Yep.
On that, when Christ was asking 3 times, "Do you love me?" I think most of us at least should understand each time he asked, the love was a different word, agape for one time. And each time, even though he was still asking a different question.
Yeah, it was Philios. So it was agape, then Philios, then what
I
was the
think it
other
was
one?
the first 2 were agape and the third one was
Agape.
Philios.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always heard.
Yeah. And
So
Peter understood that it was didn't require the same answer. Because he was asking but each one had a different meaning to it.
I took it that the first 2 agape, I guess Peter didn't get it or something, and so finally he resorted to Philios, and then I could be wrong on that.
To read.
What is it?
Oh,
No,
read.
I haven't said anything.
Oh, okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
It's Lorraine.
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 Okay. Lorraine, would you like to read this one?
Mute.
You were on, you muted.
You were on. You muted, I think.
I'll hit it. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry I had to come in late tonight.
It's fine. From Ontario. You're jogging my memory.
We had to be out with our grandson from university. He's home for a couple of weeks. So, okay.
Just tell everybody you're waiting for the ice to melt.
Okay. Wasn't too bad. This is Matthew 13 and John 21. Compare. I can't get rid of that little thing at the top like last week. It's that
You
little
could drag it off, touch it, and drag it off to the right.
I tried to do that. Is it Ann? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. Oh, it's going now. It's going now. Okay, thank you. Okay, feature. Action. Separation. Do you want me to do all the feature, Matthew?
Okay.
All the way across.
You read from left to right, top to bottom.
Thank you. I used to teach my students that.
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm 80. You have to forgive me. Okay. Feature.
Well, if we were doing Hebrew, it would be right to left, but this is English.
Feature. Matthew 13 parable. John 21, resurrection analogy. Action, separation, the wicked from the just. Restoration, the fallen fisherman to his calling. Harvesters, angels and harvesters, distinguished by deed. Christ as harvester distinguishes by love and loyalty. The ending results, the end of the age, finality. The resurrection era, a second chance before the end.
Yep, great. So this one's just a little tidbit to sort of show the comparison between the two. And now we're going to talk about where is the backstory for this parable. It's very interesting to me, where could Christ have got this analogy of separation, like what happens with the net and the haul of fish in Matthew 13? And where do we find an example of someone who, like in this parable separates men? And three,
Joshua.
where do we find it? I'm
Oh,
sorry?
is it Joshua lapping up the water, or when they lapped with their
You
mouths,
mean
use their hands?
Gideon? You mean
Yeah, Gideon.
Gideon?
Yeah, Gideon in the book of Joshua, or is it Judges? Sorry.
That's in Judges.
Yeah, Judges.
Right. Very close, but this one's even more extreme than that. So the incident is prior to the kings or Samuel. The test was to prove who should live and who should not.
Shibboleth or something like that?
Shibboleth.
Shibboleth something.
No, it's that one group said Shibboleth and the other one said Sibboleth.
Yeah.
And it was the separation of the two, and it was by Jephthah. So you got it, Stuart. And the reason why is because it's a choice between life and death that happens here. So since you got it, you get to read it.
Oh, wow. Okay. The distinction between two things, the test of life and death. The connection between Matthew 13 and Judges 12 lies in the cognitive mechanism of the filter. Both narratives describe a high-stakes sorting where a single defined marker distinguishes those who belong from those who do not. One, shibboleth, the cognitive word filter. Judges 12, Jephthah's forces use a phonic test to identify fleeing Ephraimites. The Ephraimites could not pronounce the word the sound sh, saying Siloleth instead of Shibboleth. The binary logic. Cognitive process here is reduced to a binary output, pass or fail. There was no middle ground. The inability to shape the mouth to produce the sh sound was immediate, involuntary reveal of one's origin. The internal identity, just as the fish of Matthew 13 are good or bad by their nature, the Ephraimites were identified by an internalized trait, their dialect, that they could not mask under pressure.
So that's what the exciting thing is here. So I was like, where in the world could this have happened when we have separation and the separation is immediate? And out of this, it's a matter of life and death. And so just like the separating of the fish, good from bad on the seashore, in this case, they're separated on the shores of the Jordan River before they can cross. So there's a lot of little subtle tie-ins that make sense to me, but we'll see. So that's your reward for getting it right. Okay. Sarah, who's next? Anne, could you read this one for us?
Okay, parable of net and fish, Jephthah's separating test. Strategic parallels, the net and the ford. Both the Sea of Galilee, the net, and the fords of the Jordan, the checkpoint, act as funnels where a large mixed group is brought to a point of unavoidable evaluation. After the checkpoint, the two are separated forever. And you got Matthew 13:48, the separation of unbelievers. They sat down and gathered the good fish into containers, but the bad they threw away.
Yep. And then he takes it to another level when he says they'll be separated and thrown into the fire. So, real quick, I don't know if you all have ever fished before. You can just say yes, I have, or no. You have fished many times, I'm sure. Sure,
We fished all morning, daughter and I.
Awesome.
Thought I caught a fish on the first cast.
Sarah?
A little bit.
Okay, so I'm here to announce I am the worst fisherman who's ever inhabited the earth. I have all the equipment, but I throw it in the water and nothing happens. They know I'm there and zip zero. So I was with Brogan and Jonathan. We were at Kinsale Island or something. I don't know. Tybee Island. I can't remember where we were on the sound side, and they were all catching fish. And I caught one, and I was so excited. I reel the stupid thing in. The ugliest fish you have ever seen. You can look it up on your phone if you disbelieve me. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was so ugly, I had to club it to death because it was like that hideous. It was called a lizard fish, and it looks like the spawn of Satan. I was like, good gravy. This thing is just despicably ugly. Um, it was no problem for me to choose between the good and the bad fish when I was on the shore, but it is amazing. There's a toadfish that's pretty ugly, but this one was pretty hideous. So our next reader would be Anne. Why don't you read this one more because you got a really short slide. Who's the next one? I'm sorry.
Okay. The judgment on shore and at the river.
Okay.
So we got feature, and then we got Matthew 13, fish and net parable, and Judges 12, life and death test. That's the shibboleth and sibboleth.
Mm-hmm.
The gathering, Matthew 13, the net brings in every kind. Judges, the conflict brings together all tribes. The obstacle, the shore, the end of the age. The river Jordan, the boundary. The agent, the angels, divine harvesters. The Gileadites, the judges. The marker, the nature of the fish, or the sound of the word. The result, gathered into vessels versus cast away. Passage into life versus death at the river.
And what's funny is that in almost all mythology, they describe going from this life to the afterlife as crossing a river. And it's funny that this one does too. Even a lot of Christian hymns are kind of the same way. Shall we gather at the river? Um, Even Judy Garland sings a song um, about the kingdom that's really interesting, and she's talking about that as well. So thank you for reading that, Anne. And here's a little AI
Let me
image.
let me ask a question real quick because when you were talking about that, I was thinking of Lazarus also. When they were
Mhm.
talking to him, was that a river that was separating him? I know he was in a deep cavern or something like that, but for some reason, I was also thinking there was water there.
I'll have to relook at it because I don't remember that. But Neil, since we're talking, can you read the slide?
Oh, sure. Where is it that I read? Pronunciation of the single word meant life or death. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you can just read all the little blocks.
You got to read
Oh,
the
okay.
Hebrew.
I can do that. Well, I can't do the Hebrew.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I never learned to read from right to left.
I know.
The test word, uh, Ephraimite, Ephraimite
Yeah.
pronunciation,
And they
and
said Sibboleth instead of Shibboleth. So the test word is Shibboleth, but they couldn't pronounce it right. So instead of Sha, they would pronounce it Sa. And that was an immediate thing. They would know that they weren't of the right group.
yeah, and then
Reminds
the
me of
last is a historical parable of the sorting parable of Matthew 13:47. And what helps me is I've got it up on a big screen.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead, Stuart.
reminds me of this process and process.
We use the English pronunciation and ours. So we say privacy, they say privacy. There's so many different words that they
In Britain, they say mandatory instead of mandatory.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
talk to a Brit.
here's my other favorite. Instead of aluminum, they say aluminium.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what?
That's actually a new word. That's actually the new name of aluminum. I tried to refute somebody and I was wrong.
When I was in the Orient, they have a hard time pronouncing the letter R.
Okay.
They try,
As
you
in,
can tell they're trying, but it just doesn't come through right.
okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So, I just think that it's a really interesting parallel between the two. And now we'll get into some analysis. So, who's our next reader? Or unless
We are to Irma.
Irma Martin, can you read this one for us?
Sure. Um, Cognitive analysis, alignment versus mimicry. Cognitive analysis, the alignment versus the mimicry. The shibboleth test is a cognitive audit. In the same way the angels in Matthew 13 sort fish based on their actual substance, edible versus inedible, Jephthah sorted men based on their deepest alignment, incapability of mimicry. An Ephraimite knew the word was shibboleth, but his tongue could not pronounce it. The fish comparison. In the Matthew 13 parable, a bad fish cannot decide to be good once it is on the shore. Its value is determined on its essence. The spiritual
Convergent.
convergence. Just as Jephthah used a word to separate life from death, the New Testament suggests that the sorting of man is determined by the response to the word, logos. In John 21, the sorting word for Peter was love, agape or phileo.
So isn't that fun? Like it makes sense. It was a word that Jephthah used to separate men. And then with John 21, when Christ makes his third appearance to his disciples, it's again the sorting by a word, agape versus filio. So it's truly just like it blows my lid off. But the other thing was is that I keep forgetting every time I do this to look up what the word shibboleth actually means after all this. Uh, what does the word shibboleth from Judges actually mean? Uh, I'm almost done. Okay. Okay, I'm coming with it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Um, wow, shibboleth actually has two literal meanings of ancient Hebrew: an ear of grain, like wheat or corn, and a flowing stream or a torrent. That's amazing. I did not know that. Ugh, wow, this is good. Forgot all about this whole
We expect an updated slide.
thing. Thanks, Ann. I'll get there. But that's pretty amazing. It either means an ear of corn or it means a rushing torrent of a river, which is where they were. So that's pretty incredible. All right, thank you. And our next reader is Patsy. Would you mind reading this one?
Feature the Pearl, Matthew 13, prophetic wisdom parallel. The
Okay, I screwed this up. This is from last time. I don't know why I have the same slide in here. There we go. Sorry, I gotta fix that one. It somehow got left in. So read this one, Patsy. Sorry.
Adding up the numbers.
The 153 fish and the 42,000 fallen. This is a stark numerical contrast in the catch. In Judges 12:6, 42,000 Ephraimites died because they failed the test. In John 12, exactly 153 are preserved in an unbroken net. Cognitively, this illustrates the shift from the old covenant sorting, which resulted in mass execution and death due to the law's failure, to the resurrection sorting, which results in specific numbered and preserved remnant brought by the shore by grace. Summary: the shibboleth in the Old Testament, mechanical equivalent to the sorting of the net, both emphasize that when the shore is reached, your origin and nature, evidenced by your speech or your substance, dictate your final destination.
Yeah, so in so many ways this really fits, and I can't wait to add the two slides about all of this. And
So we
um
want to know. So we need to be able to say shibboleth, right?
yes, I would highly advertise that shibboleth is a good one
Shibboleth.
to know. Let's see. Oh dear. I haven't started this one yet, because we got to the end of this. But it's really important to read this. I'm gonna send this to Lisa, and her son Jake is gonna read it. Hold on one second. It's not on our slides. Hold on one second. So what I've given him to read is kind of cool, because it's about the triangular situation as well as the information about Sibboleth or Shibboleth. So Lisa, you can take him off of mute and read from your phone if that's okay.
Mm, the 17th triangular number is 153. A triangular number represents the total of number of dots in an equilateral triangle formed by arranging dots in rows, where each row has one more dot than the row above it. Mathematically, it is a sum of all natural numbers from 1 to n. Identify the formula. To find the n triangular number, we use a formula for the sum of the arithmetic progression.
Yeah. And you can jump down now, because I know that's crazy. If you keep going down the page where it says the book of Judges 12 through 1 through 6, that's where you can start again. So you can skip all that stuff all the way down to where it says, what does the word Sibboleth in Judges actually mean?
I don't see it.
Keep scrolling down what I sent you.
Okay.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I clicked on it. I went all the way down, but I don't see it.
Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to send it to you. Let me do it here. One second. All right. Okay. Second. It's almost done. Copy this.
Up.
Stop it. You're gonna get kicked out of class. Copy. All right, I'm gonna send this to you. Paste. There you go. So you're gonna have to click on that link that I gave you.
Okay. The first or second one? Or the third or the fourth?
Oh
Fifth?
gosh.
Or the
I
sixth?
don't know why I divided it all up. I
Or
guess you
the
have to go
ninth?
one at a time. I'm sorry, guy. I thought I was just gonna copy the words and send it to you. I apologize.
Mm, So did I just read like the message, like the biblical incident and stuff?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Yeah, okay. In the book of Judges 12, 1 through 6, the word shibboleth actually has two literal meanings in ancient Hebrew. An ear of grain, like wheat or corn, a flowering stream, or a torrent. While its literal meaning is simple, the word became famous as a lethal linguistic password during the civil war between two Israelite tribes, the Gi- the Gilead,
Gibeonite, sorry, Gileadites, sorry, and the
Gileadites
Ephraimites.
and the Ephraimites. The the biblical incident after the Gileadites, led by
Jephthah.
Jephthah, defeated the Ephraimites in battle, they set up a blockade at the fords of the Jordan River to catch fleeing survivors. The test: when someone tricked to cross the Gideonites, are you an Ephraimite? The dialect. The person said no. They were ordered to say the word Shebioth of the
Shibboleth,
family.
yeah. So they could say all day long, Jake, that they were not an Ephraimite, but then they would say, okay, pronounce this word. If they got it wrong, they were dead and dumped into the Jordan. So go ahead with number three, the failure.
The failure, because there's specific original dialect. The Ephraimites physically is unable to produce the sh sound, as would instead say
Sibboleth.
sibboleth,
Yeah.
to come out. This tiny slow pronunciation unmasked him as the enemy, according to the text. 42,000 Ephraimites were killed that day because they could not pronounce the word correctly. The modern usage, the word Shibboleth had moved beyond the by
Biblical roots.
biblical
Yeah, biblical roots.
roots to describe any social or acid test that distinguishes an insider from an outsider. Uh, like, uh,
Linguistic markers, sorry.
linguistic markers, an an as an
Accent.
accent,
Accent, yeah.
and or specific agron
Jargon.
jargon that reveals where you're living in what you're living from or what you do for a living. Group
So
identity.
for example, Jake, if I go, welcome to our county, we're glad to have you here. Where would you guess I was from?
The West.
The South. But yeah, so your accent gives you away. I mean, people think that the Southern accent's all the same. It is different in Alabama than it is in Mississippi, than it is in Louisiana, than it is in Georgia. I used to have a girlfriend, and her grandmother used to call up and go, "Hello, Melissa, is your mother there?" I would just laugh because she would add syllables to whole words, and it's just endearing and charming to me that people have such pronunciation. So in Boston, people have a very thick accent. Anybody want to imitate that one? The Boston
Yeah, park
accent?
the car. Park the car, Boston guy, and I used to live there.
Harvard Yard.
Yeah.
And people from New York have a very specific accent. So does Chicago. I mean, you're defined by how you speak your language. This is why My Fair Lady was such a huge hit in 1964 and still popular as a musical because that was the whole case Professor Henry Higgins makes. Everybody judges you by how you talk. How you pronounce words defines you. And he takes a flower girl and passes her off at an embassy ball as a duchess because he just taught her how to speak correctly. And it changed her whole life. So in this one, it's really fun because it's telling you accents immediately give you away. So Professor Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, he could place someone within 10 miles of where they lived based on how they spoke. And I try to do that test all the time too. It's like, I bet I can tell you where you're from. So you can read the next two.
Well, let me bring up something up. What's the difference
Are
with
you from Missouri? You got a Missouri accent there, Neil.
Yeah, but how can you tell I'm from Missouri rather than some other state?
Because you said Missouri.
We don't pronounce the I, we pronounce it as an A.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Missouri.
That's what gives it away.
Yep.
When in New Mexico, people say whenever instead of when sometimes. Like this one lady was saying, well, her husband had died, and she said, whenever my husband died, which means each time my husband died. She meant to say when my husband died, this happened, but she says whenever, and they do that here. It drives me nuts.
Oh my goodness.
So Anne and Neil and Jake, I'm gonna let you finish that, Jake. Another great story. We don't speak Spanish, so we don't really make these distinctions. I had 5 different Spanish teachers. Every time I was behind the power curve, and language, just like fishing, was not my gift. My first one was American, Mrs. Strickland. I understood her. She was great. Then I had a Spanish speaker from Peru. I could not understand a single thing that woman had to say, and I almost failed her class. And every Monday morning, she would hand out dos boletos, which were worth 2 points on your final exam if you didn't speak any English in her class. First thing Monday morning, she'd be like, Jose, ¿hablas inglés en mi clase? And I'm like, no, señor, no. And she'd be like, dos boletos. She'd take my boletos away every week, so it didn't help my final score. But then I had Castilian Spanish when I was in college, and this woman was so refined, so amazing, and she was from the north of Spain. Again, getting used to a totally different accent. Castilian Spanish is the high Spanish accent. Above everything else, hovers in the air.
Please. Oh,
The
please.
Castilian. No, I mean that's what they all agree on, and here's why. Because it became the courtly way to speak. So instead of
We
Alicia,
don't. We don't.
okay, hold on,
No.
let me finish. So instead of Alicia, you would say Alicia. Instead of para ser, you would say para hacer. So you take every C and pronounce it like a TH. The same thing that's going on here with Sibboleth or Shibboleth. And it was because the royal household of Spain married into the Habsburgs, which were all inbred from the Austrian Hungarian Empire. One of the men who married one of the princesses, his jaw stuck out so far below his head that he couldn't pronounce anything with a C. He pronounced it with a TH. So instead of Baracer, you would get Baracer. Instead of Barcelona, you would get Barcelona. So they all spoke this because of his speech impediment. And then it became the courtly way to speak because they didn't want to insult the Austrian Hungarian Empire. So it's just hysterical to me how things work out in languages. Not that I regard Castilian Spanish as the high Spanish, but they did. But it was all based
We
on,
don't.
huh?
We don't.
Yeah, I just want to tell you that fun story. So Jake, do you want to finish reading that one little part?
Sure. All right.
Okay, good. You were at group identity.
Group identity, customs, modes of dress, or beliefs that prove belong to a specific political party, a religious sect, or social class. Outdated ideas. It is sometimes used
Pejoratively, that's a big word, pejoratively.
pejoratively to describe an old, empty slogan or
Platitude.
that people repeat just to signal their loyalty to a group.
Yep. Thank you so much for reading that, Jake. You did a great job. Those are a lot of difficult words in that one, so I appreciate it. Did somebody else have something they wanted to say? Can you tell? I'm sorry.
No.
Right time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to turn to Tim and ask for a closing prayer.
Heavenly Father, as we come before your throne of grace and mercy, we thank you for all your many blessings upon each of our families around the country this night. We ask you to bless Brother Walter's healing tonight, and that he will be with us next week. We know that you know all our needs, and we ask you to bless each of us and our individual families and ecclesias as we await our Lord's appearing. We know the signs of the times are prevalent, pointing to his return. We thank you for these signs that you've left us to follow by. We ask that you forgive us for our many sins and continue to watch over and protect us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And we survived one night without Walter. So, Linda, we hope he gets better soon. Thank you, Tim, for closing us out in prayer. Did anybody else have any other thoughts about the parable of the net and the fish and Jephthah's test of shibboleth?
It was fascinating. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad you liked it, Anne. Good to see you again, and welcome Lisa and Jake. And glad Jake got a chance to read. So
I
we will be.
texted you. Oh, sorry, Joseph. I texted you a couple of things on the triangles.
Yeah, I'm going to put them in a slide tonight. So thank you.
Well, not you don't have to. It has something to do with the genetic code. It's really fascinating, but I can't find more information on it right now.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
please,
Thank you,
everybody, pray
Joe.
for rain in Virginia because we still haven't gotten any rain. Go ahead, Nancy.
No, I was just saying thank you. Enjoyed the class very much.
Thank you very much for class.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We all
Glad you were
did.
here.
Thank you.
Thanks for class, Joe.
Joe, it rained this week twice. We talked about
Thank
it.
you.
Shalom
You
and
know-
shibboleth.
Good night and Sibylla.